What's good, family? Smash the like button and subscribe. So, as you might have seen by the title, the YB in the last few days received some exclusive proprietary information from deep inside Anthony the Booty Buster Joshua's camp. Now, again, like the title says, I'm hearing that Anthony Joshua or Team AJ, Eddie Hearn, either way, whatever way you want to look at it, Team AJ have reached out to Andy Majin Buu Ruiz. Andy,
Must be my moment.
Andy, Andy Majin Buu Ruiz, yeah. AJ put the line out to Andy Majin Buu Ruiz and has got him on hold, waiting for the AJ versus Ruiz free fight. Why? Well, as we know, as I've kept you informed over the last 4 weeks, Alexander Usyk has been playing a whole bunch of funny games. We know, again, as I reported on, the Ukrainian, Chechenian mafiosi have been trying to touch Hearn and whatnot. I mean, let's call a spade here. What we do know is, I've got another exclusive video coming soon, but just quickly, what we do know is Eddie Hearn has been touched by, or at the moment, he's currently going through it right now, is being touched by multiple cartel organisations. MTK, for example. What do we know about MTK? MTK have touched Hearn all over. Yeah? Hearn's on his Me Too thing, no doubt. He's been touched all over by MTK. Just, if you want any, like I said, I'm going to put the video out there exposing it, but just give you man a quick preview, yeah? What do we know about MTK and Hearn? Have you seen that goofy DAZN lineup? All MTK Shilaloa Cartel Lons. Yeah? Tony Bellew, all in the video talking about Daniel Dubois. Oh, Dan, you know, you got, Daniel Dubois, you know, I'd take an axe to the head, or something goofy like that, is what Bellew said. Where's Bellew now? Where's Bellend at now? With Billy Ho. Oops, Bellend been missing for 6 months, pops up when he's been given a job by Hearn and MTK. Next one, Andy Lee, #1 MTK mafiosi. Yeah? And then obviously they're throwing in some next old Don. Some old next... No one heard of him Don. How about that? Guess what? Hearn ain't put no word in for the YB. You best believe. Not even a bit of a word did he put in. You can't have the YB on there. After he aired out #1 mafiosi cartel MTK. Anyway, back to this one. Listen, like I told you, man, listen. Bottom line is, like I said, some people within AJ's camp have reached out to me and told me that Andy Ruiz has been put on the waiting list because there's a whole bunch of goofiness going on with Alexander Usyk. Now, like I said, a month ago, let's not forget this, WBO, this whole WBO mandatory is WBO. Yeah? And they ordered this, the deadline was, I think it was May 31st, a month ago now. And again, it frustrates me because some of you goofies don't listen. Some of you goofies, your ears are full of wax. Need a good clean out. Yeah? That's what you do need. Because I told you at the time, literally a week or 2 weeks before the May 31st deadline, I said, you goofy dons, don't get your hopes up. Because #1, AJ ain't fixing to be jumping around for deadlines. And #2, Eddie Hearn has been touched by Ukrainian, Chechenian mafiosi. No doubt. That's what I told you. YB, I can't wait for you to apologise. Or YB, I can't wait for you to be wrong on this one. Oops. Next thing you know, you end up on your knees taking a full face load from the YB, and then you're in my comment section talking about, oh, YB, mate, you know, it was funny the first time. It was funny the first time you gave me a full face load, but it's been I've had 6 loads in my face now. It's not really funny no more. Whose fault's that then? I didn't ask you to keep trying to be a smart ass and getting it wrong every time. You know, don't blame me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't ask you to take 7 loads in the face back to back. Yeah? That's on you, man. Oh, YB, you know, it was funny the first time. Oh, you know, YB, I'm all for taking a face load, but, you know, after the first 6 face loads, it's getting kind of sticky out here for certain man. That's on you. Listen, if it's getting kind of sticky for certain man, that is on you. I ain't know nothing about that. I don't know nothing about that. And you best believe, none of the YB dons know anything about that. All you goofies and Tyrone, your face is hella sticky. That's on you. Yeah? That is on you. So, you know what? The thing is, well, yeah, I hear a lot of you goofies, yeah, Always complaining about women. It's about time some of you man there took some responsibility. If you've got a face load from the YB, start taking some accountability. Yeah? Get out of the comment sections of all of these goofies videos and start taking some accountability yourself. How about that? Oh, you know, YB, you need to stop joking around because my face kind of sticky out here. Anyway, moving on, listen. End of the day, like I told you, man. Let's get to the point now, because I've spent too much time gassing the place up. Yeah? AJ got Andy Ruiz on hold for the trilogy. What do I think about that? Yeah? Because I'm not even going to do any more. I'm not even going to try and justify and explain how I know this. Just know I know this. How about that? Yeah? It's a fact. Andy Ruiz has been put on the sideline for number 3. And if you can't work it out, it's obvious. They're gonna have to have someone on the sideline. Why? The deadline was a month ago. Yeah? It's been a month and not even a bit closer. Of course they've got someone waiting there. This isn't like, what is this new goofy thing going on with this whole taking months to think for things to get done? It's really weird, isn't it? Tyson Fury, 6 months, didn't get done. Alexander Usyk didn't get done. Not getting done. Andy Ruiz there. Now, is it a smart move for AJ to line up Andy Ruiz? Me personally, given AJ's current state, I mean, I saw a video or saw a tweet AJ put out the other day saying, you know, I'm so happy to be rich, I'm so happy to have made it. Not in a bragging way, but he was just celebrating how he's made it. And I'm thinking to myself now, things are kind of lining up. Why we're seeing this kind of his new approach, this new fruity approach of just going in there and taking all day to get a job done. He's like I expected, or like I was kind of assuming. It appears AJ, the whole money thing, has moistened him up. And he's not the first one for it to happen to. It happens to most of them. Kind of McTapper. Now AJ hasn't declined as much as McTapper, but there's obviously a scale to it. AJ, I'm afraid to break it to you, man, but it appears AJ surely is on the I've made it scale, where he's taking the edge off of him, unfortunately. Now, why is that relevant to the Andy Ruiz fight? Well, what do we know? The second Andy Ruiz fight, AJ was the one, or YB was the one saying AJ needs to go in there and push this big bubbly Don's wig right off his barnet for him. The YB was the only one saying that. And he wasn't saying that because he don't know boxing. The YB was saying that was because I knew he could do it. AJ trained correctly. Andy Ruiz shouldn't be more than 6-7 rounds. I mean, look at Ariola. Chris Oldiola. Chris Oldiola is old as you like. And he went in there and did as good a job as AJ did. Truth be known. He had Andy Ruiz hitting all kinds of new TikTok dance moves. Yeah? The kids were going crazy off of the moves Andy Ruiz was dropping. Yeah? Chris Ariola licked Andy Ruiz and had him hitting, had him the #1 TikTok creator. No doubt. Doing all kinds of fruity moves he was dropping it real low. Yeah? Hitting all the different stand keys is what Ruiz was doing. Yeah? Whether you man like it or not, Chris Ariola put Andy Ruiz to the top of the TikTok daily headline moves. Yeah, dances. He was #1. On that day, Andy Ruiz was #1 creator on TikTok. Because he was dancing, he was hitting all the fruity moves, no doubt. Yeah? And that was Chris Ariola. So with that in mind, as a boxing fan, as a #1 boxing commentator, as a #1 boxing analyst, as a #1 boxing IQ, we can't have it all. We can't sit here and say, yes, in my professional opinion, AJ is potentially the greatest ever base in the boxing history. When I say that, people say, oh, YB, you're a fangirl. You can call it what you want. The facts are the facts. The facts are AJ is the greatest kind of frame, the greatest genetic specimen in the sport of boxing. That's what the professional says. Bottom line. Yeah? That's what the #1 boxing IQ professional says. The most qualified boxing analyst. The #1 boxing qualified analyst. That's what he says. No doubt. AJ is the best genetic specimen for boxing in the history of the game. Now, with that in mind, a fangirl is someone who says that and then they just shill no matter what. And don't get me wrong, there is certain dons out there who will shill whatever AJ does. They just want to stay. They want to stay nursing the jab end. That's not the YB. The YB gives him the accolade and holds him to that standard. That's not what a fangirl does. Wilder fans, they rub him off like he's the best ever. And then they stay rubbing him off, no matter what. The YB don't do that. I'm not a fangirl. You man got it twisted. Some of you AJ super fangirls got it twisted. You thought, oh, we're just going to stay on the jib. Absolutely not. I'm holding him to the standard which I believe he is. I believe he's the best thing, essentially, since sliced bread in boxing. Has the ability to be that if he trains correctly. And he wants to do it correctly. Yeah? And on that basis, the second Ruiz fight, Ruiz should have had his wig pushed right back. Now, moving on to this third trilogy fight, which is obviously in the mix now because of the Usyk situation. What I'm getting at is that AJ and all of his super fans said, oh, YB, you know, the reason the second fight was long was because AJ just wanted to get the dub back on the board. And I said, all right, you know what I mean? If you want to do that, I don't agree with that, because I think that I prefer the Lennox Lewis way of doing things. Lennox Lewis got washed in similar, well, actually more devastating fashion. Lennox Lewis got punked, no doubt. He got punked by some random dude. Yeah, but that said, yes, Lennox Lewis got punked in much worse fashion. Yes, Lennox Lewis is 100% chinny. Having said that, though, no matter how chinny Lennox Lewis is, no matter how hard he got punked, guess what? He came back like a true champion. He came back like a Hall of Famer and said, you know what? You punked me. You know what? You turned me out. You know what? My chin's rivaling John Fury's right now. Chinny as you like. That's what Lennox Lewis said, 100%. I spoke to him. He said, YB, I saw your John Fury video, and you're right, my chin was just like that. However, guess what? I took my John Fury wafer nano chin, and I pushed it right down my two opponents, right into their clout for them. Yeah? Took nano chin and shoved it right down their throat, is what Lennox Lewis did to his ops. And rightfully so. That's what a Hall of Famer does. AJ, and you goofy super fandons, watched him go in there and take all day, and 12 rounds. That wasn't no get back. Now again, super fandons want to try and go, oh no, it was domination. No, we ain't doing that over here. You goofies keep doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that Tyson Fury thing, because me and all the other AJ fans, yeah, we all used to criticise Fury for doing that. But then all of a sudden, AJ and Goofy McCrappen and his goofy Fernando Alonso trainer come up with this new Fury thing of, oh, we're going to run around now, we're going to become the new Fury. Meanwhile, Fury, it's almost like it's been some weird cabal thing where they've kind of exchanged different plans. It's almost like Fury's become the AJ, and AJ's become the Fury. It's like, what's going on? What is this? All I know is it stinks and it smells goofy, so I'm going to call it out. Yeah? So like I said, listen, you man was, oh no, YB, it was a boxing lesson, and it was. But that's not, for me, yeah, AJ set the standard. AJ's genetic specimen and everything else, and his skill level, and if he's trained properly, he's not Fury, for example. Fury, he hasn't been gifted with the power and the ferocious speed and whatnot. So, it makes sense for him to have to dance around for 12 rounds. AJ's been gifted tools, which means he can cut through every single heavyweight fighter on the roster today. That's what he's been given. And he should use that. He's not long and got boobies on his back and his soft legs and soft belly and soft arms, where he needs to be dancing around with Ruiz for 12 rounds and just going 50-50 life and death with people. He's good enough where he should cut through Ruiz. However, his training and his mentality have got him in a situation where he's happy to just be going 12 rounds of random dons. Or 10 rounds of random people, Pulev, or 12 rounds of Andy Ruiz. Now, I actually put Andy Ruiz on too much of a high pedestal, as we found out. Look what Areola did to him. And that was, Areola fought a much better Ruiz than AJ did, because Areola was fighting a Ruiz under Eddie Reynoso, Canelo's trainer. And Andy Ruiz was bang on weight, or much better weight than he was. So Chris Areola fights a better Ruiz, and makes him look silly. Makes him, in fact, AJ didn't put Ruiz down in the second fight. AJ did not put Ruiz down in the second fight. Chris Areola did. And Chris Areola fought a better Ruiz. How did you work that out? I'll tell you how you work it out. AJ's trainer is inept, and AJ's mentality is waning. Bottom line, there's nothing more we can conclude from it. That's what I'm concluding from all of this. Now again, how this all feeds into the Ruiz free fight, And the reason I don't really want to see this is because I don't believe AJ's mindset and mentality and training is in the right place. Now maybe I'm being an optimist, or maybe I'm just being an idealist. Ideally, I'm praying for and hoping that somehow, some way, AJ ends up snapping out of it, number one, or more fruitfully, ends up with a different trainer somehow. Now I know there's not much chance of it happening, but that's why ultimately, that's why, you know, when the Fury fight didn't happen, I was glad, I was rejoicing, in as much as I believe somehow the universe is going to work it out where AJ ends up with a decent trainer before these fights. Because when AJ fights Fury, I want to see the proper AJ. I don't want AJ to retire, having beat Fury on points or whatever. And we, us fans, have lost the potential. Well, we've lost that once in a century fighter has gone out super sad, essentially. I don't want to watch that. I want to watch AJ go in there 90-95% of his capability, not 30 or 40%, because that Ruiz 2 performance was 30 or 40% of his capability. That Pulev performance was 30 or 40% of his capability. He's not firing on all cylinders in there. Going 6 rounds doing nothing with Pulev. I'm sorry, it's not. He's not firing on all cylinders going 12 rounds with Ruiz. What are you? Are you the greatest fighter on earth? And do you believe that, or do you not? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Yeah? Because at the moment, you ain't fighting like it. At the moment, and it's not, I can't blame you actually, because I keep putting on McCrappen, but you're the one who accepts McCrappen. You know something's wrong, because you brought Fernando Alonso in your camp. Yeah? So people say, oh, YB, Ron McCrappen's the gaffer. He's not the gaffer, because the gaffer wouldn't need 2 random other trainers brought in. The gaffer wouldn't have Carl Froch didn't change in 10 years. Carl Froch is the reason why he shouldn't be with AJ. People like to bring up Carl Froch like it proves something. Carl Froch is exactly the perfect example of why Rob McCrappen doesn't need to be working with AJ. He doesn't know what he's doing. Carl Froch didn't change in 10 years. All the great trainers we see, what we notice about them is they all have noticeable and marked influence on their fighters. McCrappen, he just sits there and takes the check. He has no influence. Show me one thing you can say, YB, look what McCrappen's added to AJ. Because AJ's had the same jab, the same hooks, the same overreaching with the right hand, the same slapping away 7 hooks and not landing any of them. He's been doing that for 6-7 years. And by the way, most of the little few things AJ does well, Tony Sims give him them anyway. And over time, since Tony Sims left, they've eroded. And now we get this kind of devolved form in AJ. Where he's just in there with Pulev looking nervous and taking 20 rounds to get the job done. When Pulev isn't even throwing anything. AJ is essentially gun shy. And then he's panicking and over-revving it. And it's all messy. It's not good enough. It's pathetic. Truth be known. AJ currently is in a pathetic situation with his trainer and his mindset. Yeah? Bottom line, and on that basis, I don't want to see the Ruiz 3, because let's not forget, AJ himself even admitted, you know what, yep, the second fight was because I wanted just to get the win, but even that in itself, the mentality is flawed there. What do you mean, you just wanted to get the win? Where's that Lennox Lewisness in you? Which said, well, you know what, let's remove Lennox Lewis. Let's talk about where's the Hall of Famer in you. The Hall of Famers have this thing in them, where they say, you know what? Like even Mike Tyson, when Mike Tyson got beat by Holyfield twice, that second time he came back, how did he enter the ring? Does that make sense? Yes, it all went to pot, but how did he start off, if that makes sense? Did he start off changing his style completely and backing up and running around? No. He got stuck in, and then he realised it weren't working and jacked. But the point is, he didn't completely change his game plan and then and not go in there going for it. Mike Tyson went for it in the Holyfield rematch, ran out of gas, got scared and jumped out. The point is, he didn't change everything and not give it a go. Because I can tell you this for free, if AJ had gone in there, give it everything, Ruiz would have been out of there in the second fight. Now again, for this third fight, I don't believe Rob McCrappen has the skills or the mentality himself to influence AJ to get this third fight done properly. I think if AJ fights Ruiz again now, it will be the same as the first fight. He'll go in there, he'll be super scary, because he was super scary against Pulev. Ruiz, yes, has quick hands, but Pulev ain't no Ruiz. I've never seen Pulev put more than one shot together ever. Never seen him put more than one shot together. It's a single jab, or it's a 1-2 maybe, and that's it. I've never seen him put loads of shots together, where it's real quick either. In fact, I've never seen him put a quick shot together either. So what are we taking all day for? And still, AJ had that same level of caution against Pulev, someone who isn't offensively sharp at all, and also is a million years old. So if he hasn't kind of got over it there, I know for the Ruiz free fight, it's going to be the same stuff. It's going to go in there, and it's going to take all day, and he ain't going to finish him. I don't want to watch that. And that's the ultimate thing here for me. I don't want to watch that. I'm tired of seeing AJ, and it's almost, and what frustrates me the most is, he's almost happy with it. And to be fair, some of you AJ superfan dons, you're super happy with it as well. Oh no, YB, this is the best AJ ever. What planet are you on? And you clearly don't know the sport. If you think the best AJ ever is going 11 rounds or 10 rounds of Pulev, you ain't got a clue what you're talking about. Oh, YB, Pulev's the best fighter ever. Pulev's a bum. How about that? Pulev's 40 years old and he's a bum. Yeah? I told you man can hype him up to be as good as you want. He's a bum. Yeah? He wouldn't, back in the 80s and 90s, he wouldn't be top 40. Yeah? A whole bag of man would run through Pulev. These guys today, you man rate, they're not, like, historically speaking, they're any moddies. There was hungry dons from the 80s and 90s you'd throw in there and Pulev would get chewed up and stopped, by the way. Just the pure grit. I'm telling you now, there's a whole bit of Bert Cooper, Mitch Green, a whole bag of dons here who were top 40, especially when we're talking over 40 years. If you took over 40 years of fighters, yeah, the last 40 years of fighters, he'd be top 300 or something. Because there's gritty dons out there who would just eat Pulev up. Because Pulev went about it. We saw what happened. AJ hit him with the first hard thing, and he turned his back. And that's my point. Throw him in there with someone top 200. They'd have just chewed him up and spat him out. And he'd have folded. And that's what I'm getting at here. If you can just apply a bit of that, if AJ, yeah, who's also got the athletic ability as well, combine that with some of this grittiness from the 80s and 90s, and the whole division's on lock. But unfortunately, you've got Rob McCracken, who has this kind of Ben Davidson, scary and old and slow and safety first and untrained. Like Rob McCracken, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't let Rob McCracken open the doors to my gym. How about that? In fact, tell you I probably would. That's what Rob. In terms of boxing gyms, Rob McCracken should be turning the lights on and opening the door for us. Yeah, cheers for that, Rob. See you later. See you tomorrow morning, mate. That's how it should be. Yeah, oh, sorry, I see you tonight when you lock up. That's Rob McCracken. I'm not being horrible, that's the truth of it. If I ran a gym, that's where I'd give him a job. You can open the door up and get the lights on, and then lock up for us. Yeah? That's what, because he ain't proved nothing else. He's had 15 years of AJ. And there's been nothing I can sit there and say, you know what, Rob's added this. Rob, look at the imprint on Rob. Look at Rob's imprint on this fighter. Everyone else, we can see, all the top, and like, again, I'm not saying everyone has to be a Hall of Fame trainer. We know that can't be the case. But when you have a Hall of Fame athlete like AJ, you owe it to the sport, to yourself, to everyone, to team up with someone who's at least got them kind of things in them. Shane McGuigan, or, you know what I'm saying? At least get someone who's going to give you a chance, or who has a chance of being that kind of trainer. And it's not like the 70s or whatever, where there's not very good information. Today with the internet, we all know who the good trainers are and who aren't the good trainers. It's night and day. You know who's got potential as a great trainer. There's cause and effect. I mean, Shane McGuigan just screams out to me, especially given his age as well. If AJ at 30 years old, yeah, was saying, you know what, I've got 8 to 10 years left. Let's pick a trainer who's already proven something, but clearly is going to get better from here that I can grow with. We can grow into our greatness together. Shane McGuigan just screams that out to me. Of the people he's taken, Josh Taylor, best fighter in the UK, technically speaking, Shane McGuigan had him from the jump. Yeah? Don't forget that. First undisputed, Shane McGuigan had him from the jump. Lawrence Okolie, one of the worst fighters, essentially. Just all that Lawrence Okolie was attributes. That's the truth of it. All Lawrence Okolie was a bag of attributes. Couldn't do nothing for nothing. Gets with Shane McGuigan for 18 months, turns into the real Deontay Wilder. Yeah, Lawrence Okolie is the real Deontay Wilder. All the things people talk about Deontay Wilder with, Lawrence Okolie actually is. He's got the one bang, the real one bang. Not the, oh, I've paid off someone to jump on the floor bang. Because that's what Deontay Wilder has. Deontay Wilder has the, oh, I've paid someone off so he's going to jump on the floor bang. Not the one bang. Lawrence Okolie has the one bang. Wilder has the jump on the floor bang. How about that? And I hate to turn this, but it's the truth. I don't want to watch the Ruiz free fight. That's what it is. You AJ superfan dons can do what you want with it. I don't want to watch it. And I'm sure some of you goofies will say, oh, YB, you know, it's going to be great and he's going to run through him. And when he doesn't, what are you going to say then? Because I remember before the Pulev fight, you man were saying the same thing. Oh, YB, you're always being negative and AJ's going to run through Pulev. And it went 10 rounds and you man was nowhere to be found. Or you was trying to, you was trying to convince me that, oh no, YB, it was wicked, and he was using his IQ. And that's what I've noticed as well. People now, yeah, goofies, if something goes 10 rounds, and it's the fighter they like, they call it IQ. I swear to God, they do. I swear to God. Like, for example, AJ fans, yeah, if we're laughing at Fury, we'll call it boring. AJ does the same goofy things, and we call it IQ. Like, no, I'm sorry. Again, I'm sure some of you AJ superfan dons are sour hearing this, but I'm not a superfan of no one. He ain't paying my rent. Yeah? Seriously, yeah, you man out there, yeah. If a man isn't paying your rent or don't pay none of your bills and you're shilling for him, you got to have to take a serious look at yourself as a man. And what is that? Well, you got some really kind of fruity thing going on. And again, I'm all for you fruity dons out there. If you want to be fruity for certain man, that's on you, innit? More respect to you. Yeah? But at least know that's what it is. We're talking about pure boxing. The YB talks pure boxing. From a pure boxing point of view, I'm right. Yeah? Bottom line. This AJ Ruiz 3, I don't want to watch it until AJ's got his head on straight. And he's with a proper trainer. Because this Rob McCracken thing is played out now. It really is. And it's sad to watch. Every day that goes by, it's kind of like, wow. We're really doing this. We're really going to do this thing where we see AJ in some weird form. And you can, if you all look at yourself seriously, yeah, you know what I mean. He's in there with Pulev, who's old, slow, not aggressive, not scary, wasn't throwing no punches, wasn't really coming to win. And, like, wow. Do you know what I'm saying? It was wow. That's what it was. It was wow. And we all said before the fight, we all agreed, I said to you, man, listen, if this fight goes more than 3-4 rounds, there's a problem. Because Vlad did it in 3-4 rounds, and do we all appreciate here how unaggressive and scary Vlad was? Vlad was the most scary and unaggressive fighter going. So if he can get something done in 3 or 4 rounds, Vlad never got anything done in 3 or 4 rounds, did he? Let's be honest with ourselves. Vlad never got anything done in 3 or 4 rounds. He wasn't that type of fighter. So for him, who throws one shot at a time, which he does, and that's how Vlad stopped him as well. Vlad stopped Pulev. Vlad, who isn't aggressive, stopped prime Pulev, not 40-year-old Pulev. Vlad, who isn't aggressive, stopped prime Pulev with single shots. The same one, and again and again and again, versus the prime Pulev. AJ, who is aggressive, who is the better fighter, who is the more of the KO artist, who is fighting an older version, goes in there and takes twice as long. 3 times as long as Vlad did. Wow. And AJ and his team need to start taking a serious look at themselves, because for me it's not about the money. People tell me, oh YB, but look how many belts it's got. Oh YB, look how much money it's got. What are we doing here then? Is this the money Olympics? Is it the belt Olympics? Or is it the boxing Olympics? You can't tell me, because I'll tell you what, I've always told you what game I'm playing. I don't care about how much money you're making. I don't care about whatever else. I care about the pure from the pure sports perspective. AJ as a boxing phenomenon, that's how I always look at things from. Are you getting better as a boxing phenom? Yes or no? That's what I care about. Look, AJ can make $10 trillion for his next fight. If he don't perform better as a phenom, it's no good. It don't mean nothing to me. Because that's what all the shillers do. Or that's what all the Wilder fans do and Fury fans. Oh, but look, he's making money. Oh, but look, he's got a belt. So, we know the belts are all fake. We know the money's whatever it is. So, this AJ vs Ruiz 3, I don't want to watch it, to be fair. I hope the Usyk fight gets done. Because I actually think the Usyk fight, if and when AJ goes 10 rounds, and I think, to be fair, the Usyk fight might end up going the distance. If he doesn't get stuck in. If he goes in there and don't commit, because in my mind, yeah, if you're in there with Pulev, and Pulev's old, slow, and whatever else, if you can't get on top of Pulev, Usyk's better than Pulev. His prime, in terms of age, he's much more nifty. If you can't get on top of Pulev and get it done, I'm sorry, you're going to struggle against Usyk. People, YB, what do you mean? YB, you said that AJ will move Usyk. Yeah, he will if he goes to it. Does that make sense? You man seem to get things twisted up. There isn't one size fits all. AJ isn't just AJ. There's like 2 or 3 different AJs. Whenever I talk about AJ mauling through the division, that's when I'm talking about a particular type of AJ. This current one, this Pulev one, probably can go distance. AJ coming to do his job. The fight don't go 3 or 4 rounds against Usyk. But it's what we're going to get. And unfortunately, his last few fights, Ruiz 2, even Ruiz 1, but Ruiz 2, Pulev, it's looking like the Usyk fight can go distance. Because let's not forget, the Pulev fight nearly went distance. It wasn't like he was, wow, YB, you know, he was in control and the KO was always coming. Many of us were sitting there, myself included, thinking, it's going to go distance. It just so happened, he got hit and he went down. It wasn't planned, it weren't worked for, it wasn't, oh, you could always see it coming. Innit? When Canelo was stalking Alvarez, we all knew the KO was coming. You can't say the same for the Pulev fight. Pulev wasn't hanging on his last legs. He wasn't even that tired. That's the difference here. When you've broken someone down, everyone can see it. Pulev wasn't broken down because you hadn't hit him enough. Them 6 rounds, you didn't hit him once. I don't think there was nothing going on. So